Hey everybody, and I want to talk about Aspergers in this video, and the reason I want to talk about it is because, as you probably know from my Twitter ramblings for fucking months ago now, is that I'm currently awaiting a diagnosis for Aspergers, or an assessment for it at least, and I figured I would talk about why I believe I have it, and why it's important for me to get a diagnosis, and why, we'll talk about some of the ways it's affected my life, and, general stuff like that. So let's start with why I'm getting a diagnosis, which obviously leads on to the symptoms and stuff. So it's kind of like a natural thing that leads on. Um, the reason I want to get a diagnosis is because over the years, ever since I was a kid, my mum has noticed certain behaviours in me that aren't really ADHD related. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with ADHD. I even went to speech therapy, believe it or not, when I was a kid. I do remember that. Still not sure why I needed to go to speech therapy. I did speak properly, and I do think I speak properly now. I just don't speak the same way other people do. That's kind of beside the point. And she noticed that over the years, she's always told me, said, I don't think you've got ADHD, I think it's autism you have, or something similar to that. And I'm like, no, it can't be right. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, isn't ADHD? And throughout my life, I'd just automatically assume that every like symptom, I guess you can call it, or every type of thing I did, such as stimming, or such as talking to myself, or such as um, you know getting on with whatever it causes. It's so much in my life. I fucking lost my chain of thought now. But yeah, my mum's noticed these behaviours, and as I've gotten older, I've started to notice these behaviours in myself. And then I thought, that's not fucking right. That's ADHD. People with ADHD don't have meltdowns over small things like that. People with ADHD don't fucking cry their eyes out or get emotionally distraught when the first computer that they've tried to build didn't work out, despite the fact that the person has the same fucking knowledge of everything else. And during these meltdowns, it's a combination of things not going the way it should, anger, hatred, resentment, all flooding into my head at one time, and it really breaks me down. And when I'm in that kind of mode, it's not a temper tantrum. A temper tantrum has a completely different purpose. A temper tantrum is to get attention. A meltdown, on the other hand, is not. It's being either emotionally overwhelmed, overstressed, or sensory overload. And these people tend to break down, they tend to hit themselves, they tend to do all kinds of things. You can probably see them on YouTube. It's not very pleasant to see. And it's very common kind of a symptom with people with autism to experience. I've experienced that fucking God knows how many times in the past now. It's usually when I'm overwhelmed with the feeling that why is this not working, and when I can't fucking figure out when something's not working, it drives me fucking insane. And then I get angry, then I get sad, then I get upset, and it all just, like I said, all just goes into your head and it overloads me. And that's not something people with ADHD specifically are known for. People with ADHD would, in that situation, relish the challenge and try and figure out what's wrong. They would get up and say, I'm gonna fucking do this, I'm gonna fucking fix it, I'm gonna make sure it's done, I'm gonna make sure it's done properly. Yeah, that's not. So meltdowns are not something someone with ADHD does, and that's just one of the more glaring symptoms. Now, people in public and people at work, people in school, don't know about this because it never happens. I mean, there's been occasions in other workplaces where it's been that close to it, but it never really gets to the point where I want to lose it because there's a logical side of my brain's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And it stops me from having that meltdown, and that's the only fucking saving grace of that. But when I'm at home, or when I'm, or when I'm not in like the workplace or anything like that, it can happen. I've had meltdowns in public before, not to the extent I've had one at home, but meltdowns nonetheless. Like, there's too much fucking traffic. I call my mum and say, Mum, there's too much fucking traffic here. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna be stuck on the fucking bus all fucking night, and because it interferes with my routine that I have, because it would have interfered with the routine. Did you see where I'm going here? It angers me when my routine is interrupted because I plan out my day pretty much to the T, and then something just interrupts it and it drives me crazy. It's really annoying actually. And I do stim, I just try and hide it. Like, how to describe stimming? It's like, that's me stimming. That's actually me stimming. And you probably didn't realise it, but in me gut there, I could actually just feel like really excited. It's like excitement, but not excitement, if that makes any sense. I tend to do that when I get really excited about something or I'm really waiting for something. But I guess that's my form of stimming. I don't do it all the time because, well, life's not really that exciting. But there are moments where it happens, and those moments are, yeah, typically when it happens. And I also have issues with socialising. I have always had issues with that. I've always had issues trying to make friends, keeping friends. I've had issues with a relationship in the past. When all these just culminate, and I think back on them, and I'm like, look, are these really behaviours that someone with ADHD would experience? And I would argue that as a kid, it looked more like ADHD. As a kid, it did. But as I got older and older, it became less ADHD and more Asperger's when I look at the symptoms and I look at the process. Now, fucking hell, see, lost my chain of thought for a second there. And I'm like, could I have both? And it is, from what I understand, possible to have both Asperger's and ADHD. And the best way I could describe having both in this situation is one side of your brain's going fast and the other side of your brain's kind of like pulling that back. It's kind of like, imagine having a mega fast car with a rope attached to a wall that can't be fucking moved at the back of that car, and then that car's going mega fast and it can't go anywhere because that fucking rope that's unbreakable, it's attached to the wall that won't move. That's kind of what it's like to have both, I would say. Um, Now, anyway, getting back onto the socialisation thing for a second. It's not that I haven't made friends in the past, because I have, and I still talk to people on Discord pretty much on a daily basis. But it's very difficult for me to, go up to someone and say, look, I want to talk to this person, I want to make friends with this person. Extremely difficult. Shaking, not shaking, going to job interviews is extremely difficult for me as well. Because it just overwhelms me. Like, I say, I've got to dress up like this, and when they're asking me questions, I find it very difficult to come up with answers to those questions, simply due to the fact that I don't expect to. Like, there's one job interview that I went to, and there was like three of them there. There's one at the very back of the room, two people there. Right, so okay, it's just these two people here that are gonna be asking me interview questions. I know I'm like, oh, but your CV's not up to date, even though it actually fucking was. I was like, why do you want to leave your current workplace? Because I'm looking for a new fucking challenge. I'm looking for something better. And the questions were absolutely fucking horrible that he asked me, and I just could not come up with coherent answers. And this has been a problem for many fucking job interviews. Um, you know. And another thing I tend to do is I tend to work slower in the workplace than everybody else. And I think the reason for that is because I think there's something in the back of my mind which say, yeah, you know your fucking limitations, take it slow, don't rush. Microphone turned off, sorry about that. So anyway, take it slow, don't rush, try and get it right the first time, try and get it there done properly. Now obviously this doesn't always work out. There are some times where I don't pay attention. Sometimes where it's hard for me to pay attention. And this leads on to my communication issues as well. Communication is a very fucking big issue for me. Always has been and always will be, and it'll never change. Like, when I'm sat there just like focusing on my work, I just like to be left alone to get on with it, because if you disturb me, I get confused and I lose track of where I'm up to. And that's why I do things differently to everybody else, because it helps me. It's not because I think your method is shit. Though, to be honest, it actually is. But let's not talk about that. It's also because I like to do things the way I like to do them, because I find them the easier way to keep things organised. It's not that I'm doing it slow deliberately to, to extend it out. I'm doing it because I personally find doing it the way I do it easier than what you're doing it. You're trying to, someone comes up to me and says, you should do it this way, and my brain's like, but why should I do it your way? You're not the one doing this. You're not the person responsible for this. I am. Let me do it my way. Let me do it the way I feel is best. Because if I do it the way I feel is best, then I can confidently say that I've done it the way I feel is best. And like I said, it's not because other people's ways of doing things is shit or bad. It's just because it just doesn't. I just don't find it as easy as they do. And I don't really see the problem in that. Is as long as I'm getting the job done, who cares how I do it? The job's still getting done regardless. So it just boggles the mind as to why I should be forced to do something someone else's way, when that way isn't compatible with the way my brain works. And that's why I do things slightly differently than everybody else. That's why I do a different method. That's why when I wash the pots, for example, wash them one by one and make sure each one's really fucking clean, because that's the way I like to do it. I don't like doing everything at once. It's easy for my brain to keep track of things if I do things slowly, I do things methodically, and I do it one by one. And someone else wants to do it a different way, then let them. They might find it easier that way. It might be more efficient for them to do it that way, but it's not the way I want to do it. And that's one of the things that I've encountered in my life many fucking times, both in work and outside of work. People try and force me to do things a very specific way, but if I find a way to do the exact same thing in a different way that I personally find easier, I'm going to do it the way that I find easier. It's not going to change. And I absolutely hate it when someone tries to force that on me. It's like, well, just fucking fuck off and let me do it my way. What else is there about Aspergers? This is actually ending up being a longer video than intended, which is weird. What else is there? Oh yeah, intelligence. And this is something that really irks me, because people. I don't know. It's going to sound like I'm being arrogant here, and I'm not. Trust me. People say, "Oh, you're intelligent, you're clever," and I'm like, "No, I'm fucking not." I mean, objectively speaking, I am not clever. I'm not intelligent, objectively speaking. I did do well in my GCSEs at school. The only subjects I got A to C's in was science and IT. Even though those were 4 each, I did get my 5 A to C's, but that's kind of beyond the point. I didn't do very well in those subjects. I can't do JavaScript to save my fucking life, so clearly I'm not that intelligent. I'm not a fucking developer, and if I was intelligent, I'd be fucking in a mansion by now. Seriously, if I was intelligent, I would be in the fucking 6-figure job by now. But I'm not. And that's why I'm not intelligent, and that's why it really annoys me, because it's an undeserved compliment. It's not honest, it's not truthful. And I guess what this is all leading up to is that I'm a very, very absorbed in the way I see the world. I don't see the world the same way as everyone else does. I see the world in a very logical and a very literal light. If you ask me, oh, take a seat. Now, obviously, I've been brought up to know that taking a seat doesn't necessarily mean you physically fucking take the seat. But I will sometimes take things literally. I do. I'm a very literal thinker. Like, if someone says, you're shit, obviously I know. No, I don't even know where I'm going with this. But yeah, sometimes I can be a very literal thinker. I'm trying to think of what else to kind of keep this video fucking coherent. But yeah, all these things that add up, and these are just symptoms. These are just some of the symptoms I've had throughout my entire life. And when someone says to me, "Oh, you're not paying attention," I'm not paying. It's not that I'm not paying attention. is that the way you told me or the way you want me to pay attention isn't compatible with the way you think paying attention should be. I think that's the best way to describe it. There's different ways of paying attention. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's just basically keeping an eye on things. Another symptom I have, and I'm not sure if this is related to Asperger's or not, is I'm a very paranoid individual. I always have this belief that people are out to get me, or that people are not going to do things in my best interest. Like this, trust me right now, the prevailing thought in my head about stuff is, I can't really say what the paranoid thought is because I don't really want to get myself in trouble with various people, but in other workplaces in the past, and I want to emphasise in the past, I've had these paranoid thoughts that, someone's out to sack me or someone's out to get me or that I've been set up for failure. This has been very prevailing throughout my life, and I'm logical enough to not act on it, but I hate the fact that I have to have these types of thoughts in my head because it really gets to me, and that's another thing about Asperger's actually, is that I can feel the emotion, but I don't feel a desire to express it. At least in I'd say 99% of the time, I wouldn't have any desire. I can feel the emotion. I can feel anger. I can feel hatred. I can feel sadness. I can feel happiness. I think the only emotion I'm able to kind of act on is laughter. But even then, that's very rare because I don't go out seeking comedy. I don't go out seeking things to laugh at. But yeah, having these emotions is there, but the desire to express it isn't, which isn't right because most humans, when they're emotional, they want to express that emotion. They want to kind of get it out of the system, but I can't do that. I find that very difficult. Because if I'm angry, for example, I know that screaming and shouting isn't going to help. If I get sad, I know crying in front of everybody is not going to help. It's going to make me like a fucking knob. And then when someone comes to me saying, oh, I've got this problem, I've got that problem, I can feel empathy, but I can't show it. I can't express the empathy. It's really irritating. Yeah? And there's just things like this that all lead me to believe that I may have Asperger's. Right? And I've not even talked about the routinized behaviours I have. Oh, fucking hell. Fucking hell, even I've noticed this. I have a very strict routine. I'm not going to go over it in this video because it'll take too much time. It's fucking nearly 20 minutes already. But, that being said, the routine is very, very pervasive. It is there. You can spot it like a mile off. And I'm surprised no one in work has fucking noticed it yet because I do have a very routine that it also affects me in work as well. Anyway, carrying on, like I said, it just all leads me to believe that I have Asperger's syndrome. And I've not even talked about the eye contact thing yet. No eye contact. I can't read body language either. You see, this is the thing, right? I do a video like this, where we'll try and end it, and then another fox will say, oh, I need to address this in the fucking video. And you know what? I'm going to upload this in its entirety, even with the bits where I make mistakes, even with the bit where the microphone turned off on me during the fucking recording. I don't care. Because I think that would only help to service. And, to help to demonstrate to you some of the problems I have. It's been more prevailing as an adult. Let's be honest here. And, yeah, I think that should be it. I think that about covers it. But getting this diagnosis is important to me because it'll give me the answers I need, and it'll give me closure that I need, and it'll also give me the right to go to any employer in the future, or my current employer, and say, look, I need these reasonable adjustments made to help me do my job. And I can't do that without an official diagnosis. And microphone turned off again, sorry. So while I said it turns off after a few minutes of not actually getting audio in is weird. But where was it going? Oh yeah, so reasonable adjustments in the workplace can be had. It'll also allow me to get access to any medical help that I might need, and it could also help me with other things as well. Like in the past, and I probably currently still, I feel I suffer from depression and anxiety because when I went to the doctors once, he actually gave me antipsychotic tablets because I do suffer from hallucinations as well. That's something else. That's for a topic for another video. Um, he gave me antipsychotics. Well, I'm like, okay, I'll take these and see what happens. And took them one day. I was sleeping work. I wasn't at my best. And I don't want to experience that again. So I had to kind of like, I'm not fucking taking these anymore. But yeah, it'll give me access to medical resources, give me access to help. Um, you know, but I do think there's a stigma attached to people with Asperger's. There's this idea that people with Asperger's must be these hyper intelligent human beings that know everything, that have superpowers, that can quote things, that can do things. And while in some situations that may be true, a lot of people on with Asperger's are completely the opposite of that. Like completely. So yeah, a diagnosis to me would help me. Now, would it help me in the way that will change everything in my life? Of course it won't. It won't. But it will at least provide answers. At the very minimum, at least. Now, I'm not sure what the diagnosis process is. I'm not sure what the assessment process is like, so I can't really give any advice on that. Um, but yeah, I think that about covers it. This actually ended up being 21 minutes video, which is completely unintentional. So yeah. Anyway, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I know this was very incoherent, and I do apologise for that. And if you have any questions or comments or things you want to ask me, then go ahead, and I will try my best to answer them in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching.